Healy Brook Falls was the destination today, a place tied to one of the toughest days in photography 3 years ago. Funny enough, this trip didn't go exactly as planned either.
So I screwed up everything. The drone went down, landed in water. Well, welcome to another video. We're heading to Healy Brook Falls, and it's a waterfall that falls into the Bay of Fundy. And we got a lot of rain a couple days ago, so I'm hoping that there should be a pretty heavy water flow. And it's also falls that will go well with not green color, as we're still, well, I think today's first day of spring, but there's certainly no green vegetation. So hike into that, which is a short little hike to the beach and then kind of across. So I think those are the falls up there, or part of it. There's kind of a cave, and then falls in behind it. But I screwed up, so I'm going to shoot a few other things. Some nice color in the rocks with the receding waves. I might try to shoot, but then I go up above it.
I knew I left a bit later than I wanted, but when I checked the tide times, I used Windsor's as my reference, forgetting that it changes depending on where you are. I'm not used to shooting that far away. So when comparing the high tide times at the falls, it's an hour and a bit earlier.
So I screwed up everything, but I got back up, or else I'm going to get stuck on these cliffs, which is definitely a thing that can happen in Bay of Fundy. So I'll have to reassess. Might not get to those falls, even though we drove forever to get here. But pack up.
In a much safer spot on the beach, I set up to use a slower shutter speed at about half a second to catch the receding wave with the colorful rocks. After that, I'd head to above the falls, but this is what I captured.
So this spot right in behind here that I'll show is about 3 years ago was probably the worst day in the field that I've had because my camera went for a swim. So I was in the gully shooting up long exposure and I was switching from my filter and a gust of wind just came down and my tripod just boop into the water. And it was about 4 feet deep. And the only way I was able to get the camera was because it was still on the tripod and the tip of the tripod leg was hooked, and I was able to grab it and turned everything off and took the battery out, and this water just hauling out of everything and disconnected the lens, and there's just water coming out of, like, it was completely submerged. That's still the camera that I use today, and it's still the lens that I use today. So I fared well. It took about 3 weeks to a month with it in rice and in front of the fireplace and just trying to dry it out before I turned it on. And then it didn't start up like 100% right off the start, but it did. I took apart the lens and got elements that I was easily able to get access to. There's still some stuff, but because it's such clean water, I haven't had any issues with stuff growing in it. But yeah, so I'm going to try to redeem myself and get the same shot, but I'll also share the last shot I took with it. When the camera went down, I lost the filter ring for my Nissi filter system. So there is a silver lining in that as soon as I got my filter system, it was on an old tripod and it broke off. The head broke off and the mechanism to spin the polarizer broke. So for the longest time, or up until shooting here, I hadn't used the polarizer because I couldn't spin it. So when I got the new one, that worked, and that allowed me to use the polarizer, which I shoot a lot of waterfalls, and it's night and day what a polarizer will do. So I had that silver lining, but yeah, it was pretty scary at the time. So I'm going to go down there and try to redeem that shot, and we'll see how we make out. So I'm going to try to redeem myself here. This rock in here, I'll point it out better, but this is where I was standing before when the camera went into the water. So this time I'm not going in there. There is ice still on there. I'm going to shoot from here and then shoot into it. And I kind of have some wider, 2 different compositions, wide and a little bit tighter. The sun's kind of right in it, so I'm kind of shielding. I do have a polarizer on, so not that effective, but I'm waiting until the sun kind of goes behind the clouds and shoot and then still cover it a little bit to get rid of the glare. And I'm around 8 seconds at f11. So with a 6 stop in the polarizer. So it's that rock point that I was on, and I climbed in from down there. So right now I'm kind of getting like this type of frame in without getting this branch in the way. And kind of shooting up into this crevice. And there's still a lot of color in there. So now that we have that, we'll head further down and to the head of the falls and see what that is like. It was about here where I stopped, which is all underwater now. So this place is cursed. The drone went down, landed in water. Looks like it still might work, but at least it didn't land in the Bay of Fundy. We were able to retrieve it. So that'll be interesting to see. I'm pretty sure it was recorded at the time it went down, so that'll be interesting. But I'm not going to stick around. This place is just bad news for me. My ball head on my tripod's not spinning around anymore either, so that's new here. And then I did shoot the cliffs that we were down below earlier, that the water is right up against. Again, the Bay of Fundy tides, you gotta watch out for that. So, but yeah, let's watch some fun drone footage here.
My son was operating the drone while I went off to find a spot where I could safely position myself near the edge of the falls for an epic shot. I left him with simple instructions: smooth pans and gradual zoom out footage. Not long after, he called that the drone had crashed. It just dropped, he said. I asked him if he hit a tree. Nope, the black box will tell a different story. That said, at least it didn't end up in the Bay of Fundy. That's honestly where I thought it fell, and it'd be gone for good. Mayday, mayday, we're going down! Once at home, it was time to assess the damage. There was one blade that was broken, and once it was replaced, it was time to test it. Everything appeared fine. It did also create some interesting ICM frames going down. Wouldn't that have been a nice shot with me somehow standing safely but close to that edge? Ah well, hopefully the next outing goes much smoother.